This video is presented by Western and Southern Financial Group, a game plan for your financial future. Every great team starts with a strong foundation, and your future should too. With life insurance built like a championship roster, Western and Southern helps protect what matters most so you can focus on winning today while planning for tomorrow. Whether you're just starting out your journey, building your dynasty, or ready to retire like a champion, Western and Southern has the right play for your life stage. Visit westernsouthern.com to get your free life insurance quote today. Western and Southern, built to win. The Los Angeles Rams and the Detroit Lions faced off. The Rams were victors here, 41-34. It looked like the Lions might win this one, and then the Rams just, were the Rams again. Top 5 graded players that we had for the Los Angeles Rams: wide receiver Puka Nacua with a 95.0 grade in this one. He is unstoppable, man. Tight end Colby Parkinson with an 88.9. Offensive guard Kevin Dotson an 80.9. Linebacker Omar Spates an 80.8. Wide receiver Devontae Adams a 79.9. And then Matthew Stafford with a 71.7. On Detroit side of things, wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown with a elite 90.1, overall grade. Edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson, 89.7 with an interception. Almost housed it. Couldn't quite get there. But a great play from him nonetheless. Wide receiver Jameson Williams, an 89.3. Avonte Maddox with an 83.2. Offensive tackle Penny Sewell, a 76.1. And then Jared Goff, an 84.1. Stat that told the story, Dalton. What do we got?
To me, look, I know this was a high-scoring game, and Jared Goff played really, really well. But at the end of the day, the Lions have to be able to run the football to win. And the Rams did a better job of that in this game. The Rams ran for 159 yards. The Lions only 70 yards before contact. The Rams' offensive line was the better offensive line in the run game in this game. 2.9 yards before contact per carry. Just for reference, if you get to 2 yards or more, your offensive line's run blocking at a pretty elite rate right there, or you're getting to the outside untouched way too often. Detroit, 0.8 yards before contact per carry. If you're at 1 or fewer in a game or across an entire season, you have a real problem. Only 1 explosive run for Detroit in this game, and the Lions are now 0-6. It's just a clear cutoff. I know I probably sound like a broken record at this point. I do this every other week, it seems like. They're 0-6 when they have less than 100 designed rushing yards, and they're 8-0 when they have more than that.
Yeah. Simple
cutoff. And at a certain point, and again, Jared Goff was really good in this game, especially the play-action concepts, attacking the middle of the field. St. Brown and Jameson Williams were outstanding. But if you walk up to Sean McVay and you ask him, hey, you're about to get in a quarterback duel, Stafford versus Jared Goff, it's the exact reason they traded for Matthew Stafford 4 years ago in the first place, is that they can win these types of quarterback duels with Stafford more often than they can win them with Goff. That was the case in this game. I just think the Lions, if they're not balanced, if they can't run the ball at an elite clip, their offense isn't designed to be one-dimensional, even when Jared Goff plays well. And actually, there's something I want to look at right now is I want to see if some of Jared Goff's highest-graded games, right? How many of those have they lost? Because I look at this. Let's see. Washington they beat. Chicago they beat. This game, 84.1, third highest graded game of the season. They lost. Green Bay, 81. They lost. Kansas City, graded an 80. They lost. Giants game, 75.6, although Gibbs went crazy in that game. That game went to overtime. But they're losing games when Jared Goff is playing really well because this team is not designed for Jared Goff to win it for them first and foremost. So none of this is on him. They scored 34 points on a really good defense.
Right.
But they couldn't control the pace of it. And if you ask the Rams, hey, do you want to get in a QB shootout, Stafford versus Goff, they're going to go, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Let's go.
Right. I do agree with that. I think that the Rams were very clearly okay with getting in a shootout here. The Rams in the second half, excuse me, my eyes watering like crazy. Rams second half adjustments. That was I think what told the story, because we were 24-17 in this game coming at halftime. Detroit had the lead. Detroit had a touchdown lead here. First 3 drives of the second half, 17 points for the Rams, 92.9 overall offensive grade in those first 3 drives. 17 points. Lions, their first 3 drives of the second half, 0 points, 3 3-and-outs, 54.6 overall offensive grade. One team came out very ready for whatever the other team was going to do, and the other team did not. And that, to me, is just how the Rams ended up winning this game. And Detroit would have taken up by 7 going into half all day long against the Rams. They had them exactly where they wanted them, and the Rams just came out on fire. The Rams are one of the few teams in the NFL this year, in my opinion, that actually have the ability to have 2 different games within one game. You have that first half and you have that second half. They're one of the few teams that I think can actually make full-scale adjustments when they go into halftime. And that's, to me, what makes them one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL, especially when they've got Matthew Stafford to execute those adjustments on the quarterback side.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got a mastermind play caller. You've got a savant-level quarterback with generational arm talent. You've got, right this minute, the hottest receiver in football. And I mentioned, before, 70 rushing yards for the game. And again, you mentioned the Lions were ahead at halftime by a touchdown. They ran for 20 yards in the second half of this game on 8 carries. They were ahead, but they couldn't control the pace of this game. And when it started to speed up, that's when it gets hard for the Lions, is when they really have to be over-reliant on the passing game. They don't want to have to do that.
Nakua, I agree with you, was the best player in this game. 94.6 receiving grade, 9 receptions, 181 receiving yards, 3 missed tackles forced, 8 first downs. I mean, he was unbelievable in this game. He was the best player in this game. He's been the best receiver in the NFL all season long. He's incredible. Most disappointing for me, honestly, is the Devontae Adams injury. Looked like a pretty brutal hamstring injury. Not sure they're going to get him back for the rest of the regular season. I didn't see what the final call was after the game, but I mean, that didn't look pretty from him.
Didn't look great, and I believe wasn't it a hamstring that was already bothering him, I think, and he was kind of working through. I'm pretty sure that was the case. So tough to see that, and hopefully, I mean, for the Rams' sake, they're obviously the first team in the NFC to clinch a playoff spot. They're trying to win this division. How about a huge game coming up in Seattle on Thursday? They're likely going to have to play without him, but get him back for the playoffs. He's really been the guy that's beaten man-to-man coverage in this offense, and he's been arguably the best red zone threat in all of football. So he's somebody they're going to need to win a Super Bowl, but they do have some time, knowing that, yes, they're still trying to win the division, but knowing that they're going to make the postseason, they don't have to play it too aggressive for these next 3 weeks either. And if they do happen to get the 1 seed, you buy them an extra week of rest before you get to the divisional round there in the playoffs.
Anything else on this game before we move on? Because there's something in the chat that I wanted to address.
One more guy I just want to shout out. How about the young third-year tackle Warren McClendon Jr. at right tackle for this Rams team, filling in for Rob Havenstein? And honestly, you might have to just leave McClendon in here for the duration. How about an 84.2 run blocking grade in this game? Only 1 pressure allowed as a pass blocker, and over his 4 starts, the last 4 starts he's made since Week 12. How about an 86 PFF grade for the young third-year tackle? I mean, Warren McClendon, to me, when I watch this offensive line, I'm like, man, who is this just mauling people next to Kevin Dotson here at right tackle? He looks awesome. I would just leave him in there the way he's playing right now. I know Havenstein's a veteran. He's a long-time starter. He's got to get healthy. But, it's hard to take this kid off the field right now at right tackle for the Rams.
Yeah, no, I think that he's playing real. And just everybody on the Rams, it feels like he's just playing so supremely confidently.
Oh, fun update on remember I was doing the team offensive grading stat here?
Yes.
Check this out. So this game, 87.4 offensive grade in this game. The Rams now have 7 of the top 20 highest graded offensive games as a team. The only other teams with multiple, the Lions have 3 of those top 20. I believe Philadelphia, I think, has 2 of them.
Yeah.
The Rams have 7, and there's only 2 other teams that have more than 1.
Yeah.
Of the top 20 graded games on offense this season.
That's pretty wild.
Ridiculous.
That is pretty wild. Wes in the chat saying that you claimed earlier that PFF assesses plays using several variables. How can Puka get such a high grade and score when the Lions practice squad was playing in the secondary, which key Lions secondary players were on the field? So obviously they're talking about the fact that Brian Branch wasn't in this game, Kirby Joseph's not in this game, Terrion Arnold's not in this game, DJ Reed was, and it's Rakestraw Jr. He's been on IR as well. So no, there's no doubt about it that the Lions secondary is beat up, but that's not really the point of what PFF grades are. PFF grades are grading how well you are executing what is asked of you on a single play. So, yeah, I think that you can look at a PFF grade. And look, we've said this before. PFF grades, there's no way that it could take into account quite literally everything. You can't grade for example, like the context like this, I think that there's no point to saying, yeah, Puka played really well, but how do we ding his grade or throttle his grade because he wasn't playing against that good of competition?
I think
that's something that the grade wouldn't be able to do.
I think that's something that's fun to actually just come on here and
talk about,
right?
Exactly,
Where
exactly.
you go, okay,
Yes.
you know, he was great in this game, but it was
Yes.
against a team with a terrible secondary or
Yeah.
beat up secondary,
Super
or,
beat up secondary.
You know,
Yes.
or I'm sure some people out there, like Trevor Lawrence's game we talked about earlier, historic game, and some people out there will go, well, yeah, it's the Jets. I go,
Yes.
well, it still happened, right? And actually, I don't know if I can put the guys on the spot here. Can we? One thing I want to show with Puka Nacua real quick that I just thought of, just pertaining to that and who he's going against. If we could pull up the game report here, if we get a shot to for this Lions and Rams game, because something we do have for each game. If you go into we have all the box score reports in the top right corner here, and if we can go to the Rams there, and if you go to receiver matchups. All right, this is a fun one. So you get an idea of, okay, you know, did Puka Nacua there, did he pick on one guy? Who did he pick on? And that whole box right there gives you an awesome breakdown. You know, against DJ Reed there, 4 targets against DJ Reed, who is the Lions' best corner, right? 3 catches made for 79 yards. Man, that's a pretty good day for Nacua against the Lions' best corner. Then you look at somebody like Amik Robertson, you know, with the third guy there who lines up in the slot. 2 catches against him for 22 yards. Rock Yassin, the other outside corner, you know, for 2 catches and 19 yards. One on Derek Barnes, you know, gets isolated on a linebacker in zone coverage. Different things like that. That's something I really like looking at, is sometimes you get those primetime matchups, or you get a guy like Nacua where he's moving all over the formation. He's beating everybody, right? So it doesn't matter. You can be the Lions' best corner in DJ Reed. You could be somebody else trying to keep up with him, match up in zone. You can be inside, outside. This guy right now, it doesn't matter who he's playing, doesn't matter who he's matched up with. He's going to tee off on all of them.
Yeah.
Because he's right now, I mean, him and Jackson Smith and Jigba, they've really been the 2 best receivers in football this
And the
year.
reason why I wanted to answer this question specifically is because I wanted to highlight like what you really want to use PFF grades for. And it's truly a tool. It's truly part of the conversation. Now, I think that we do a really good job of contextualizing how well a player executed in a single game, but you would take Nakua's grade, and then within conversation you could say, look, Nacua really executed well and beat up on an injured Lions secondary, but then that's what you say. You can talk about
as
more
he should.
context. Exactly. So we wouldn't, in order to add that element of the context to it, that's what we would do here on this show. That's what we would hope anyone would be doing when they have a PFF Plus subscription, when they can see the grades, is that they're able to apply the context that I wouldn't say like the grades can't, but the grades wouldn't really. Like you again, like going back to it, we wouldn't throttle, or we wouldn't take down Nakua's grade just because the competition level wasn't great. His grade is what it is. How he played is what it is, and that's what we grade when we get into the PFF grades. It's then the job of the people taking that and the conversation around it to say, hey, here's other context that, again, not just that the grades wouldn't, but shouldn't take into account. And that's why the grades, we've always said, are a great tool for how you talk about it.
Yeah, we definitely would not, on a play-to-play basis, be thinking about, you know, if he torched a corner on an out and up or something like that, caught a deep ball, we would not go, well, it was a Lions backup, so it was easier. Like, no, actually, the grades and the spread that you're going to have on them over the course of the game is probably going to tell you that anyway. Or we've talked a lot about like the Chargers and all their injuries on the offensive line. We're grading pass rushers the same against them, and we're grading them the same despite them being backups. They're on the field. They got to get out there and perform, and if it's, you know, that's the reason the Chargers are one of the worst pass blocking teams in the league, well, that's going to show. Yeah. It's going to show you that, yeah, they can't block elite pass rushers.
Yeah.
Could that be a problem eventually?
Right.
Sure. Was it this week? Maybe not.
Right.
But we're not going to, on a play-to-play basis when we do this, we don't take into, oh, well, this is their backup left tackle, so let's take it easy on them. Unfortunately, sometimes that's not how it works, and on the upside, you know, it's not how it goes. We're going to grade everything just neutrally as we see it happening on the field with whatever 11 guys are out there.
Yeah, ADZ is saying, like, I'm just trying to figure out how these grades work, and that's why, like, I love seeing these questions and I love answering these questions because I think a lot of people are out there like that. And then he goes on to say, every time I think somebody plays really well, sometimes they'll get a low PFF grade. And I think that a lot of people are like that because anyone who might be new to PFF and what we do here, they'll take a look at the common stat sheet, and that's really the only reference that you have. And sometimes these guys have really good common stat sheets, but then you look at the PFF grade, well, you're like, whoa, how did that player have a low grade? Well, we're trying to be as good as we can here on the show about being transparent about how we are trying to grade the execution and performance of every single play, knowing that every single play could make or break a game. And there could be a level of paramount importance on every single play. So how you perform and how you execute on every single play, whether the guy actually caught it or not, whether the defender actually caught it or not, whether you fumbled the ball or not, like those are the things that kind of go into it. So we'd love for you to keep watching this show. We will continue to be as transparent as possible with how we get the grades, because that's what we want to do here. We want you guys to have a ton of confidence in having a PFF Plus subscription to where you guys can see this stuff as well. And we don't just want you to have a PFF Plus subscription because we want you to see the grades. We want you to use the grades. We want you to talk about these when you have conversations with your friends or whoever it is. And so we want you to not just have access to the grades. We want you to be able to explain, hey, actually, this guy had a really good common stat score, but PFF had it a little bit lower, or even better. Sometimes a guy didn't. Like for offensive linemen, right? Offensive linemen is the big thing where it's like there's no stats for offensive linemen, and yet we hopefully feel like we can do a good job contextualizing when offensive linemen play really well, and we can recognize when guys are playing well and give them their kudos and their flowers and all that kinds of stuff. So that's what we're trying to do around here. So did never have any problem answering any questions that you guys have and being as transparent as possible with those.
Everyone's got takes. Numbers have truth. And the truth is, most people are betting with emotion. Sportsbooks feed on it. TikTok gurus sell it. The hype machine runs on it. That's how you lose. PFF is different. You're betting with winning data. The same data trusted by all 32 NFL teams and the sharpest minds in the game. PFF betting tools take every prop, every matchup, every angle, and run them through our custom models. Built on the best football data in the world. What comes back is your edge. Simple, sharp, and built to win. Want to go deeper? PFF puts a pro-level analytics department in your hands, giving you the same insights teams use to find every advantage. Build your game plan with matchup analysis. Project every snap, every matchup, and every edge before kickoff, because the smartest plays start long before Sunday. Hit rates show how a player performs against their prop and against defenses built the same way. It's the data that gives you real confidence in every pick. Next, Key Insights translates PFF data into the story behind every matchup, giving you the why that powers your bets. From coverage schemes to defensive looks, it's the context that turns raw numbers into winning decisions. When you're ready to take action, filter through every prop on the market and focus on the opportunities that matter, by game, matchup, or value. Then, shop for the best available line in your area and tap your book of choice to place the bet instantly. Everyone's got takes, but now you've got truth. Bet with data, win with PFF.